The flight from Los Angeles to New York was brimming with the usual excitement and tiredness of cross-country travel. Passengers settled into their seats, some chatting quietly, others lost in music or books. Among them were two women, Jada and Simone, both vibrant, confident black professionals returning from a conference. They chatted animatedly as they buckled their seatbelts. Unaware that trouble was already brewing, Mir rose away. Mark, a flight attendant in his mid-30s with a tight-lipped scowl, had been watching them since boarding. A spark of prejudice lurked in his cold eyes. Mark approached their seats abruptly. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said sharply to Jada. "You're going to have to leave the plane." Jada blinked, startled. "Pardon? Why?" Mark's voice dropped to a gruff whisper, barely masking disdain. "Company policy. You're causing a disturbance." Simone narrowed her eyes. "We haven't done anything wrong. You can't just kick us out without cause." Mark folded his arms. "This isn't a discussion. Gather your things and come with me." The scene quickly drew the attention of nearby passengers. Whispers ballooned into murmurs of shock and confusion. Jada's voice rose, calm but firm. "There's no reason for this. We demand to know the cause." Mark shifted uncomfortably, but doubled down. "I'm doing my job." Simone grabbed Jada's arm. "Let's call our parents. This will escalate, and we need backup." Jada nodded and pulled out her phone. She spoke urgently. "Mom, Dad, please come to the airport. We're being unfairly targeted." Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the aisle. A tall, composed black man in a sleek suit appeared, Malik Turner, the CEO and owner of Airlines. His eyes scanned the tense scene instantly. "What's going on here?" Malik asked, authoritative but measured. Mark straightened, a flicker of panic crossing his face. "Sir, these passengers have violated company policy and need to disembark immediately." Malik's gaze hardened. "Is that so? Mind explaining what policy?" Mark stammered. "Well, sir, they cause a disturbance in boarding." Jada and Simone exchanged glances, courage swelling. Malik fixed Mark with a steely look. "I want this interaction reviewed immediately. In the meantime, you're relieved of your duties. Racism and unjust behavior have no place here." Murmurs of approval rippled through the cabin as Malik turned to Jada and Simone. "I apologize for this treatment. You are valued customers and deserve respect." Jada smiled, gratitude flooding her face. "Thank you, Mr. Turner." Simone added, "It means a lot to see leadership stand firmly against discrimination." Malik nodded. "Leadership is about action, not just words." The rest of the flight passed smoothly, a stark contrast to the earlier drama. Malik made personal rounds, ensuring every passenger was comfortable. His presence a strong statement against prejudice. Back at the gate, as the plane emptied, Mark was escorted off, his employment terminated swiftly. Jada and Simone's ordeal had turned into a decisive victory, not just for them, but for every passenger watching, and for the airline that refused to tolerate discrimination. The cabin was tense, a storm brewing beneath the surface as Mark, the flight attendant, smirked down at Jada and Simone with barely concealed contempt. His voice, laced with condescension, sliced through the murmuring passengers. "Listen, I don't want to make a scene, but you've disrupted the calm here more than once. Rules are rules." Jada's eyes blazed. "We are not causing any trouble. You're singling us out for no reason." Simone stood, voice steady despite the rapid beat of her heart. "We demand an explanation. This is discriminatory and unacceptable." Mark's lips curled. "You'll get your explanation on the ground. Now pack it up." Passengers began pulling out their phones, whispers turning into murmurs of outrage. In one corner, a woman quietly muttered, "This isn't right. Something's wrong here." Without warning, the two women simultaneously shouted, "We're calling our parents. We want witnesses. This stops now." The air charged as they dialed quickly, their voices echoing off the cabin walls. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The sound of purposeful footsteps approached. A man with an aura of quiet authority stepped forward. Malik Turner, impeccably dressed, the CEO of Airlines, had boarded recently unannounced, determined to witness firsthand the operations on his planes. His deep, commanding voice cut through the rising tension. "What seems to be the problem here?" Mark turned, his mask of confidence faltering as he faced Malik's unwavering gaze. "These passengers," Mark stammered, "are causing disturbances during boarding, violating company policy." Malik's eyes narrowed sharply. "Is that your professional assessment or a personal judgment?" Jada found courage in Malik's presence, her voice clear. "We've done nothing but ask for fair treatment. We're being targeted without cause." Malik's voice held steel. "There's no place on my aircraft for prejudice or abuse of authority. Mr. Mark, this behavior is unacceptable." Turning to a nearby crew member, Malik instructed quietly but firmly, "Escort Mr. Mark off this flight. His employment with Airlux is terminated effective immediately." Whispers erupted into applause as Malik faced the cabin. "This is a company that values every passenger equally. Mistreatment under my watch will be met with swift consequences." Jada and Simone exchanged a glance filled with relief and empowerment. Malik approached them, extending a warm, genuine smile. "I'm truly sorry you had to endure this. It's my responsibility to ensure this never happens again." Simone replied, "Thank you, sir. Your presence today made all the difference." Malik nodded. Leadership is action, as much about standing up as about listening. The remainder of the flight was markedly different. Malik personally checked on passengers, engaged warmly with families, and uplifted the spirits aboard. His message was unmistakable. Airlux was a safe space for all. Down the jetway, Mark's exit was quiet but definitive, no longer a part of a company committed to justice and dignity. As the plane touched down in New York, news of the incident had already rippled through social media. A wave of support poured in for Jada and Simone, celebrating their courage and Malik's decisive leadership. The incident became a catalyst, not just for change within Airlux, but a beacon for the entire industry, a call to recognize and eradicate racial bias in travel. Malik's commitment extended beyond that day. He announced a company-wide diversity task force, mandatory anti-bias training for all staff, and a confidential reporting hotline for discrimination. Jada and Simone, now symbolic heroes, returned to their lives with a renewed sense of hope that their voices mattered and that change, though hard-fought, was possible. As Airlux Airlines continued its journey toward becoming a beacon of diversity and inclusion, the ripple effects of Malik Turner's decisive action on that flight echoed far beyond the cabin walls. The incident with Mark, the disgraced flight attendant, marked a pivotal moment, not only in Airlux's corporate history, but also in its cultural identity. Malik wasted no time capitalizing on the momentum. Within days, he assembled a dedicated diversity and inclusion task force, handpicking leaders from across departments, including Jada and Simone, as crucial voices in shaping the company's future. The task force was charged with a comprehensive mission: to uproot systemic bias embedded within Airlux and create policies that genuinely reflected its commitment to equity. The first step was brutal honesty, an internal audit that laid bare uncomfortable truths about hiring practices, promotion paths, pay disparities, and workplace culture. The data revealed glaring gaps. Black and other minority employees were underrepresented in leadership roles. Wage disparities persisted despite nominal equal pay policies. And subtle, often unconscious biases influenced decisions at multiple levels. Malik confronted these realities head-on during a town hall meeting broadcast live to all employees. The auditorium was packed, the virtual attendance even greater. Malik stood at the podium, his gaze steady and resolute. "We cannot claim progress while ignoring these truths," he declared. "Our commitment must be beyond superficial. It must translate into action, measurable, transparent, and persistent action that dismantles barriers and lifts every voice." The announcement ignited a flurry of activity. The task force designed a series of programs, from mandatory anti-bias and cultural competency trainings to mentorship schemes aimed at promoting minority employees into managerial positions. These programs were complemented by a new transparent pay structure regularly audited by an external firm to ensure fairness. Jada, now a charismatic spokesperson for Airlux, traveled the country speaking at conferences. Her message was powerful and personal, a call for corporations to move beyond tokenism and embrace the true power of diversity. Simone launched a peer support network within Airlux, creating safe spaces where employees could share experiences and seek advice without fear of reprisal. This network became a vital resource, boosting morale and fostering solidarity. But transformation rarely came without friction. Some middle managers bristled at the new policies, perceiving them as constraints on their autonomy. Old biases, sometimes dormant, surfaced in unexpected ways. A few senior executives questioned the pace of change, worried about alienating traditional customers or destabilizing operations. Malik faced these challenges with a mix of patience and unwavering resolve. He personally met dissenters, listened to fears, and articulated a vision that connected diversity and inclusion with business excellence. An inclusive company is a stronger company, Malik often said. Diverse perspectives fuel innovation, deepen customer connection, and drive sustainable growth. We're not choosing between excellence and equity. We're committing to both. Throughout this turbulent period, Jada and Simone remained steadfast pillars of the movement. They collaborated with Malik and HR leaders on revising recruitment strategies to widen candidate pools, ensuring diverse hiring panels, and evaluating candidates on skills and potential rather than traditional criteria susceptible to bias. The results gradually manifested. Employee surveys showed improvements in perceived fairness and inclusion. Turnover rates among minority employees decreased. Promotion rates of underrepresented groups climbed steadily. Moreover, Airlux's brand reputation soared. Clients praised its leadership in social responsibility. Investors took note of Airlux's enhanced financial performance linked to its diversity initiatives, validating Malik's strategy from a business standpoint. Yet, the true transformation was cultural. At company retreats, employees shared stories of personal breakthroughs, about feeling seen, heard, and valued for the first time in their careers. Conversations once avoided became candid and constructive. One memorable gathering saw a young black engineer recounting, with tears in her eyes, how mentorship from Simone helped her navigate a challenging project and secure a leadership role she never thought possible. Another scene highlighted Malik's humility when he recounted his own journey of unlearning biases ingrained since childhood, inspiring even the most skeptical staff. Despite significant progress, Malik emphasized that the journey was far from over. "We are committed to continuous learning and growth," he stated in a recent message to all employees. Diversity and inclusion are not destinations, but ongoing commitments that define who we are and who we aspire to be. Days turned into months, and the air of change settled into a new normal. Airlux Airlines had transformed from inside out, morphing into a company where the worth of every individual was recognized and celebrated. Jada and Simone, once passengers caught in a moment of injustice, were now architects of that transformation, a testament to courage, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of equality. Their story was a beacon signaling to the corporate world that true leadership requires confronting uncomfortable truths and boldly committing to change. Malik often reflected on that critical flight when his presence stopped racism in its tracks. That day ignited a movement, one that would ensure no passenger, no employee, ever again bore the weight of discrimination aboard Airlux. Through vision, action, and the unwavering belief in justice, Airlux Airlines soared higher than ever, carrying not just travelers, but the hopes of a more inclusive, equitable future for all. After the pivotal incident aboard the Airlux flight, Malik Turner knew the real work was just beginning. The dramatic moment on the plane was a catalyst, a spark, but the future demanded deliberate, systemic change that would permeate every level of the airline. Malik convened his top leadership team immediately. The mood was grave but resolute. "This company will be a leader not just in the skies but also in equality," Malik declared. "Token gestures are not enough. This is a transformation journey, a culture change from the ground up." The new corporate diversity and inclusion initiative would have three main pillars: recruitment and retention. They would redesign hiring processes to remove bias, create diverse candidate slates for every role, and foster an inclusive environment that helped people from all backgrounds grow and thrive. Training and awareness. Mandatory programs across levels would focus on unconscious bias, microaggressions, cultural competence, and allyship, creating a workforce educated and empowered to support equity, accountability, and transparency. Quarterly reports tracking diversity metrics, pay equity audits, and clear channels for reporting discrimination would ensure accountability. Jada and Simone were integral to these efforts. The duo, once passengers caught in a moment of injustice, had become Airlux ambassadors, key voices inspiring change within and beyond the company. Their first major project was a comprehensive mentorship program linking emerging minority talent with senior leaders, breaking down hierarchical and cultural barriers. The program gave men not only career advice, but strategies to navigate challenges unique to being underrepresented in aviation. Simone's peer support network flourished, bringing employees together across locations and roles to share stories, voice concerns, and celebrate successes. The network's reach extended to wellness initiatives addressing mental health, recognizing the toll discrimination could take on employees' well-being. Malik embarked on a listening tour, visiting hubs from Seattle to Miami, sitting down with frontline staff, pilots, and administrative teams. "I want to hear everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly," Malik told his teams. "Only through openness can we build trust." However, the path was far from smooth. Resistance emerged not just from individuals reluctant to change, but systemic inertia threatening to slow progress. At one intense leadership summit, a veteran executive challenged Malik publicly. "With all due respect, Malik, this rapid push threatens operational stability," she warned. "We risk alienating customers who expect consistency. How do we balance social goals with profitability?" Malik met her gaze steadily. "Our data shows diverse, inclusive companies outperform on every key metric: innovation, customer satisfaction, resilience," he responded. "Our mission is clear and the market demands it. We aren't sacrificing anything. We're investing in sustainable success." The debate, while contentious, pushed the leadership team to integrate social commitment tightly with business strategy. Malik instituted metrics tying executive bonuses to progress on diversity goals, making D&I success a shared responsibility. Meanwhile, Airlux's external reputation soared. The company was featured in industry journals and media as a trailblazer for justice and corporate accountability. Clients signed long-term contracts, attracted by Airlux's honest commitment. Jada and Simone found themselves public figures, speaking at conferences and participating in panels discussing racial equity in aviation, a rare spotlight that they wielded with grace and purpose. But the most powerful change was cultural. At company retreats, stories poured out of microaggressions overcome, ceilings broken, and allies found. Employees felt safer bringing their whole selves to work, their identities honored and celebrated. One employee, a young pilot of Latina heritage, shared tearfully how Simone's mentorship gave her the confidence to challenge a supervisor's dismissive tone, leading to a promotion and the start of a leadership path. Another episode involved Malik himself admitting his own learning curve, recounting moments where his privilege had blinded him, urging everyone toward humility and continuous growth. The D&I task force published quarterly progress reports accessible internally and externally, presenting transparent data on representation, pay equity, and promotion rates accompanied by candid narratives from employees. Corporate leadership instituted regular courageous conversation sessions, a framework Jada helped design, facilitating dialogue across difference to dismantle stereotypes and build empathy. Months flowed into years. Airlux Airlines was no longer just a carrier of passengers. It had become a carrier of change, a microcosm of justice in a world still grappling with inequality. The airline industry watched, some skeptical, others inspired, as Malik's vision unfolded into reality. Jada and Simone reflected often on how far they'd come, from targets of injustice to architects of transformation. The scars of that flight still lingered, but they had been woven into a fabric of resilience and hope. Even Mark, the flight attendant fired for his discrimination, found no place in a company changed so profoundly. Malik made that clear through every policy, every message, every action. Standing on the balcony overlooking the twinkling city lights one evening, Malik addressed his two champions. "We have charted a course that others will follow, but the journey for true equality is lifelong. Keep leading with your voices. Keep pushing us forward. Together, we will fly higher and fairer. Jada and Simone smiled, ready for whatever challenges awaited, because they knew Air Lux was more than an airline now. It was a movement soaring toward justice. The success of Air Lux Airlines' response to the racist incident and Malik Turner's bold leadership marked a turning point for the airline, not just in policy, but in soul. Part 5 of their story unfolded as a powerful transformation not just of a company, but an entire culture of aviation, reverberating through every department, every employee, and every flight. As Malik looked out over the company's growing headquarters cityscape, he knew this was not the culmination, but a beginning. The scrutiny from media and social advocates, the rising expectations of passengers worldwide. These were pressures, yes, but also opportunities to become a true pioneer. The Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, spearheaded by Jada and Simone, expanded drastically. Its membership encompassed a broad cross-section of the workforce: pilots, ground crew, customer service agents, and executives. Voices once marginalized were now center stage. They launched groundbreaking programs funded by Malik personally, including scholarships for aspiring aviation professionals from underrepresented groups, partnerships with historically black colleges and minority-serving institutions, and cutting-edge cultural competence workshops that became industry benchmarks. These efforts brought about a sea change in recruitment. Air Lux's Pilot Academy welcomed cohorts increasingly reflective of global diversity, and the once homogeneous leadership ranks began showing vibrant, new colors and backgrounds. Jada took on a leadership role in the company's global outreach program, traveling the world inspiring young students to envision themselves soaring high, not just as passengers, but as captains, engineers, and executives. She shared her story with passion and grit, speaking at airports, schools, and industry forums. Simone expanded the internal peer network to an even more robust community, dubbed Wings of Solidarity. This group offered not only support, but resources for career advancement, mental health counseling specialized in experiences of discrimination, and forums for open dialogue with company leadership. Malik himself was front and center in these efforts, holding quarterly fireside chats with employees across continents via video. These were raw and unfiltered sessions, sometimes exposing uncomfortable truths, other times celebrating milestones and sharing visions. Malik's honesty about his own growth inspired trust and galvanized the workforce. But the journey was ridden with challenges that tested their resolve. Some long-term employees voiced concerns about changed expectations and new dynamics. In one memorable debate during a regional leadership summit, an executive complained, "These initiatives are moving too fast and risk alienating seasoned employees accustomed to certain norms." Malik responded unwaveringly, "Evolution is never comfortable, but ignoring inequity is not an option. We honor every employee's contributions while striving tirelessly to build an inclusive future." Resistance often masked fear, a fear of losing identity or power. But dialogue and education softened many hearts and minds over time. Meanwhile, Air Lux's clients praised the airline for its authenticity. Surveys showed increased customer satisfaction, especially among diverse demographics, who appreciated the company's commitment to fairness and representation. Air Lux's profits soared alongside their commitment. Malik shared this data candidly with Wall Street, debunking myths that social responsibility and business success were incompatible. In the wake of these achievements, offshoot risks emerged. A subtle complacency crept among some, assuming progress was finished. Malik warned sharply in company memos and meetings, "Equity is a lifelong commitment. We must guard against backsliding or tokenism." One particularly poignant moment came during an awards gala where Jada was honored for her leadership. She accepted the recognition with humility, reminding the crowd, "Our fight for inclusivity is not a sprint, but a marathon. Each one of us runs it every day with our choices and actions." Simone, meanwhile, expanded her influence by collaborating with industry partners, creating a consortium of airlines committed to intercompany mentorships and resource sharing, pushing diversity initiatives beyond Air Lux's walls. The cultural shift even transformed the tone of in-flight interactions. Flight attendants embraced a renewed ethos, compassionate, respectful, keenly aware of different cultures and experiences. Training included real stories and scenarios brought to life by employees themselves. Malik's office was now adorned with photos and mementos from countless employees representing every background, a visual mosaic celebrating inclusivity as Airlux's greatest strength. Yet, Malik remained ever vigilant. Aware of the airline's symbolic power, he continuously pushed for innovation in this space. The company invested heavily in technology platforms to anonymously report bias and harassment, ensure equitable allocation of shifts and promotions, and gather real-time diversity metrics. These bold technological advances were complemented by a culture of warmth and belonging Malik helped nudge forward personally. Jada and Simone frequently visited the hangars, break rooms, and training centers, breaking down traditional barriers by simply being present, listening, and advocating. Their personal stories and professional achievements inspired countless employees to dream bigger and reach higher. They had become not only leaders but beacons of hope for a sector long criticized for insularity. The story of Airlux Airlines had evolved beyond the headlines of a single flight's injustice. It had become a testament to resilience, boldness, and unwavering moral clarity in an industry soaring toward a truly equitable horizon. The transformation of Airlux Airlines following Malik Turner's decisive confrontation with racism became one of the most influential narratives in corporate America and within the airline industry globally. This was not merely a story of one flight or one employee's misconduct. It was a sweeping cultural revolution woven into every fiber of the company, setting a gold standard for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Building on the foundations laid in previous years, Malik and his dedicated leadership team recognized that sustainable change was both a marathon and an art, a continuous, deliberate process demanding resources, empathy, and unflinching resolve. Their approach was comprehensive, integrating lessons from global DI exemplars while customizing programs to the unique dynamics of the airline business. The centerpiece was the newly branded initiative, Soaring Together. This multi-tiered program was designed with input from employee task forces, cultural experts, and even passengers, underscoring how inclusivity extended beyond hire and fire policies to embrace holistic belonging, recruitment, and beyond. Airlux abandoned traditional recruitment pipelines that historically favored a narrow demographic. The company revamped job descriptions to eliminate coded language, implemented structured interviews, and mandated diverse hiring panels. Strategic partnerships with minority-serving schools and aviation academies flourished, creating talent ramps for underrepresented communities. Scholarship funds multiplied, enabling students from marginalized backgrounds to access coveted internships and pilot training. The advent of virtual recruitment fairs widened Airlux's talent pool internationally. Leadership and mentoring. Seeing representation as essential to empowerment, Airlux instituted active sponsorship programs, pairing promising diverse talent with senior mentors who advocated for their growth, often championing them during promotion cycles. Jada, Simone, and other leaders built an internal leadership academy focusing on soft skills, cross-cultural communication, and executive presence. This academy became a powerhouse for cultivating future executives from diverse origins. Cultural competence and training. Recognizing that policy alone could never shift mindsets, comprehensive training became ubiquitous, delivered in multiple languages and tailored to specific workplace realities. From frontline flight crews to executives, education on unconscious bias, microaggressions, and allyship inspired reflection and action. Training sessions were intimately interactive, using real stories shared by employees. This storytelling approach deepened empathy and created personal connections across divisions, employee resource groups, and wellness. Wings of Solidarity. Simone's expanded employee network became a staple of company culture. It offered career development webinars, mental health resources sensitive to experiences of discrimination, and social events celebrating diverse cultures. Airlux also enhanced its Employee Assistance Program, EAP, providing counseling and support tailored toward issues affecting marginalized employees. Conversations about race, gender, and identity became normalized rather than taboo. Transparency and accountability. Malik introduced quarterly diversity dashboards published company-wide, showcasing progress and gaps. Data-driven goals held every department accountable, with executive compensation partially tied to D&I targets. Anonymous reporting tools with third-party oversight ensured that any discrimination allegations were swiftly and fairly investigated. Community and industry impact. Airlux's transformation had ripple effects far beyond its own operations. Jada and Simone became sought-after voices in international aviation conferences, their stories inspiring airlines worldwide to accelerate DI efforts. Airlux sponsored awareness campaigns, scholarships, and community engagement projects, elevating the conversation around inclusion in travel. Challenges and reality. Despite glowing accolades, Malik knew the path was never linear. In certain airports and regions, cultural norms challenged inclusive policies. Some resistance lingered among legacy employees. Incidents of micro-resistance occasionally surfaced. Comments, exclusionary behaviors, or apathy. Each was addressed swiftly, but required constant vigilance. Malik famously said in a global webcast, "Our responsibility doesn't end with policies. It's about nurturing a culture that demands respect and kindness every day." Legacy and looking forward. Years after the initial incident, Airlux stood as a testimony to what courageous leadership paired with grassroots empowerment could achieve. Jada ascended to an executive role overseeing global talent and inclusion strategies. Simone became a senior director of employee engagement. Malik, acknowledged as one of the most transformative leaders in corporate history, continued to push the company beyond profit, emphasizing purpose and people. In interviews, Malik reflected, "The fight against discrimination is ongoing, but every step forward redefines what's possible." Airlux isn't perfect, but it's fiercely committed to fairness. Passengers, employees, and industry observers alike hailed Airlux not just as a preferred airline, but as a symbol of hope, proof that systemic change was achievable when fueled by justice and determination.